This is day 288, Chosen Humility. When humility is chosen before it is forced. I found myself thinking about a time in our country's history when our pride as a nation had fallen as low as it could go. It was during the Civil War, when we were quite literally killing each other, and all the talk of the great United States gave way to the sight of field hospitals filled with our young people, maimed and crippled by our own arrogance. That image stayed with me because it led me back to a hard personal truth. There is a difference between being forced to be humble and choosing to be. When pride collapses, there are moments when pride does not gently fade, it breaks. In that season of history, whatever confidence we had in ourselves as a people was stripped down by suffering, and what remained was the plain fact that we had done terrible damage to one another. The illusion of strength could not survive that kind of scene. A nation that would not bend was made to kneel. That is often how humility enters a life as well, not as a virtue we admired from a distance, but as a necessity pressed upon us by pain, loss, failure, or consequences we can no longer ignore. We do not always choose that path. Sometimes life chooses it for us. Sometimes the truth arrives with more force than grace. Still, forced humility is real humility. It may come late, it may come through sorrow, but it can still teach what pride refuses to learn. Some souls turn to God before life drives them there. The rare strength of chosen humility. What has been on my mind today is not only the humility that comes after collapse, but the humility that comes before it. That is much harder. It is hard to lower yourself when nothing has yet brought you low. It is hard to listen when your own voice still sounds convincing to you. It is hard to turn to God when your life still appears manageable by your own strength. And yet, that is where something rare begins. There's a special quality in people who turn to God when they do not have to, at least not in the visible, urgent sense. They are not waiting for disaster to teach them dependence. They are not waiting for humiliation to teach them perspective. They chose surrender before the breaking comes. They chose reverence before the consequences arrive. They chose to admit they are not the center of the story, even while their comfort, pride, and routine are still intact. That kind of humility does not announce itself loudly. It's usually very quiet. It looks like a person setting aside the need to be right. It looks like someone who does not need pain to become teachable. It looks like a soul that understands that turning to God is not only for the desperate hour, but for the ordinary day. So what do I want to remember? I think that is why the image of those field hospitals feels so heavy to me. It is not only a picture of national suffering, it is a picture of what pride costs when it is left unchecked, when it is allowed to run its course until the lesson can no longer be avoided. History can force humility on a nation. Life can force humility on a person. But there is a better way, even if it's harder. We can choose to be humble before we are made to be humble. We can turn to God before pain leaves us no other place to turn. We can bend before we are broken. That choice is difficult because pride always feels stronger in the moment, more natural, more deserving of protection. But it is a false strength. It cannot carry what humility can carry. So I come back to that scene, to the sorrow of the people brought low, and I take from it one small instruction for my own life. Today, before pride has a chance to harden any further, I can bow my head and turn to God on purpose.